Welcome to the Voice and Visuals of Amber. We have Language in Action 12. What's the title? Well, we'll just keep it pending for the time being. Let's begin with a sentence. And here we have the sentence, Ria says her grandfather is the most interesting man she has come across. Ria says her grandfather is the most interesting man she has come across. So we have used the word most, and that we know is a word that we use for comparisons, and this is in the third degree, that is the superlative degree of adjective, and therefore we have been told that we must use the. So therefore this is a correct sentence. Am I right? Let's look at the second sentence. Ria's grandfather is a most interesting man. Ria's grandfather is a most interesting man. And here I have used a instead of the before most. So the question over here, is this sentence a correct one, or have I made a mistake? It should have been the, because we have never been taught, or hardly ever have we been taught, that we can use the indefinite article a with most. So what should I do? Put a cross over there? A wrong sentence? Alright, let's see. And here we go. Alright. Yes. So this is also a correct sentence, a correct use of the word most, to be preceded by the indefinite article a or an. Of course, had it been followed by a vowel sound, it would have been an. So, Ria's grandfather is a most interesting man. So, Now, this therefore is a somewhat uncommon use of the word most, and the reason is, here there is comparison being done, because it puts the entire observation, the opinion, alright, about Ria's grandfather, the opinion of Ria about her grandfather, and it's really in a context of comparison. For example, is the most interesting man she has come across. But here, Ria's grandfather is the most interesting man. Now can we just replace most with another word? Very, and then there'll be no confusion. Yeah, Ria's grandfather is a very interesting man, but then very, we are using most over here almost like very, but there is a slight difference of intensity of feelings regarding her grandfather. A very interesting man and a most interesting man. So which one, in which sentence is Ria intensifying the fact that her grandfather is an interesting person, with a most or with a very? Use like very, but most makes the feelings of Ria very clear that she definitely finds him a very, very, very interesting man, and that is why she uses the word most. Clear? So here the adjective is interesting. We used the word most in the superlative degree over here because of the comparison. So many men Ria must have met, and her grandfather comes across as the most interesting among all of them. And here there is no comparison. It is just that she is intensifying. Yes, increasing. All right, the increasing, I would say the value point as far as interesting is concerned vis-a-vis or with respect to her grandfather. So Ria's grandfather is a most interesting man. So we can use most over here, almost like very, but then most conveys more, conveys the opinion with greater emphasis or greater intensity. So here, remember Divakar sir, the English teacher of Vrindavan Public School? We had a discussion on this, and this therefore is called the intensifier, or there is another grammatical term for this, alright, and we shall come to it a little later after I finish these examples. Let's have another pair. Ittafaq. It was a wonderful movie. Ittafaq, starring Rajesh Khanna and Nanda, was the most gripping movie I saw during my school days. The most gripping. So, yeah, it's very clear. More gripping than any other movie I saw during my school days. So, comparison is very obvious. And the superlative degree used over here of most indicates that no other movie that I saw during my school days was as gripping or as exciting or as mesmerizing, as fascinating as Ittafaq, starring Rajesh Khanna and Nanda. And let's see the other sentence. Ittafaq was a most gripping movie. So it's very clear, it's a statement implying no comparison. It is just how gripping was that movie, a very gripping movie, and you want to intensify that further. So you call it a most gripping movie. So we can use a most over here, but we can't use a most in the third sentence because there is a comparison implied, there is a comparison stated, so therefore the most. But here there is no comparison, it is just the quality of the movie, gripping, and how gripping, very gripping, but I want to make it very, very, very. So therefore I say Ittafaq was a most gripping movie. So, no question mark. I hope that question mark from your minds alright, has got removed, and we can put a tick mark over here. Now, in the same sense as I use most over here or most over here, not the comparison one, no, but modifying the adjective, intensifying the adjective. Okay, so we can use very, we can use highly, we can use greatly, we can use specially, extremely, awfully, dreadfully, horribly, terribly. So now, is it clear? Remember the old definition. Again, Divakar sir, we had a discussion, Mr. Divakar Gupta, we had a discussion, I remember when we talked about the old definition of an adverb. And it was not wrong. It's just that it is no longer in modern coinage. For the simple reason it was an adverb is a word that modifies an action or a verb, other adverbs, and an adjective in the same sentence. But that was a bit confusing because the word is called adverb. So add to the verb. So that's telling us how an action was done, when an action was done, or the manner, that is how, or the where, the place, where the action is done. So action, add to the verb. And if we restrict ourselves to that definition, it is easier for children, for the youngsters to understand. So this, therefore, we can call it the intensifiers, or let's give the title. Yes. These are called the sub-modifiers. The sub-modifiers. So we need another word apart from the adjective used over here to actually convey our feelings, our opinion with greater intensity. And that intensity can be positive, or it can be, negative. So let's see. I was extremely pleased to go through your CV. So I was pleased. So here, pleased actually is the past participle, but performing one of the functions of the past participle, that is to act as an adjective, and an adjective is completing the to be verb, so it is known as an adjective complement. So I was pleased, but how pleased? So I intensify it by using the ly word over here, alright, which normally in the lower classes when we were young, we were told most adverbs end in ly. Okay, carefully, brilliantly, slowly, right? So extremely. I was extremely pleased to go through your CV. So how pleased? Extremely pleased. The second one. Pawan said he was highly obliged to his uncle for the timely help. So Pawan said he was, again it's a to be verb, and he was obliged, okay, grateful, but how grateful? So obliged again looks like a verb, but here it is an adjective because it is the third form of the verb, the past participle, and past participle can be used as an adjective in a sentence. So Pawan said he was obliged to his uncle for the timely help he gave him, and how obliged, and there you are, highly obliged. Similarly, you have the third example. It was a very exciting match. So again, this is a to be verb, and here we have the present participle, exciting, ing, not a gerund. Present participle, exciting, okay, acting as a complement of the to be verb, something which completes the to be verb and therefore completes the sentence. So it was a very exciting match. So no problem with a very, okay, a very exciting match. So very also is therefore an intensifier or a sub-modifier, an exciting match. Arun Dogra's innings was most entertaining. So Arun Dogra's innings was was most entertaining. So here it was again very entertaining. So I can use most for very. I'm not comparing his innings with those of other batsmen. So his innings was a very entertaining one. So again here most is being used as a sub-modifier for the adjective, that is the present participle, the participial adjective acting as a complement of the to be verb was. So his innings was most entertaining. Now if I wanted to compare the innings, then I would have said Arun Dogra's innings was the most interesting one, which means there may have been other interesting innings, but Arun Dogra's innings was the most entertaining, meaning of all the other innings, there might have been other batsmen who played well, but then Arun Dogra played an innings which was the most interesting. But I have not used the over here, which means I'm just talking about Arun Dogra's innings. It was a most interesting innings, meaning Arun Dogra's innings, its value, I'm talking about the value of his innings only, in my eyes, in my opinion. I'm not comparing, so when I'm not comparing, I'm not going to use the with most. So clear? So these are certain sub-modifiers or intensifiers. Some of them we use in more formal writings, all right, and some we don't use in formal writing. For example, we don't use awfully. If we have to write a formal letter to our boss, we won't say, okay, I'm awfully sick. You'll say, okay, I'm very sick. I'm very unwell. But then you can say, okay, my grandfather is awfully unwell. So that would be informal. So we have awfully mostly used informally. All right, horribly, yes. So it was a horribly ugly shot that he played. Okay, so horribly, terribly, it's terribly warm. It's terribly warm. Okay. It's extremely lonely on the roads these days. Rightly so. We've got to stay at home. We have to keep ourselves at home and keep not only ourselves but everybody else safe as well. So is that clear? So these are all the sub-modifiers which we use with other adjectives. And we call them sub-modifiers. The old definition of adverb would also hold good over here, but then because the word is adverb, so nowadays in more communicative English, in more, I would say, easily comprehensible English, something that the kids, something that youngsters can understand more easily, so we normally restrict the meaning of adverbs to a word that actually modifies or tells us about a verb or an action. Okay? So here, therefore, we use these sub-modifiers with another adjective just to increase or decrease the intensity. So in the next lesson, we'll just have examples of a few, of these adverb-looking words that actually either increase the degree or intensity of the adjective or the quality that we are talking about. They either increase it, they are positive intensifiers, or they can be reducers as well, which means they decrease the intensity as well, which means from along a continuum from the positive to the negative. All right, so we'll have a list of words of such sub-modifiers in the next lesson. So thank you, and the most important take home from this particular lesson is that we can use most, okay, with an indefinite article preceding it. The meaning, of course, changes. This one is very common because we have learned about much more most. All right, the positive degree, the comparative degree, and the superlative degree. But here we are using most in the same sense as we use very, but then it conveys a little more than very. So here there is no comparison. That's all. Please stay safe, stay at home, and all the best. Let's keep on praying. Let's be positive, let's keep smiling, let's keep learning and teaching. Let's draw, let's do our drawing, our painting, our sketching, and of course, let's do a lot of work at home that we had never done. Yes, and I'm referring to the men folk over here, the boys over here. Take care, all of you. God bless.